Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Living in Alignment with Madeline Hope. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit, whether you are getting ready for your day, driving to work, on your hot girl walk. I hope this episode gives you the clarity and grounding your soul is yearning for. Today, we are talking about the astrology of June 26th through July 3rd. And there's a lot of different things happening this week, but of course, it all connects. We have Mars entering Gemini, Mercury stationing retrograde in Cancer, the strawberry full moon in Capricorn, Jupiter entering Leo, and then we end the week with the moon in Aquarius. So there is this really interesting movement from things feeling deep to seeing what's actually been built to starting to think about what we're ready to express next. And before I get into this upcoming week, I want to talk about how the past week has felt so far. I'm recording this on Wednesday, so obviously I'm only speaking from where I am right now. We'll see how tomorrow and Friday go. But honestly, this past week and a half, like specifically, if I'm being specific from today, Wednesday, the past 11 days have felt really good for me. Nothing's been like perfect, and definitely nothing in my life was like magically solved, but there's been a very noticeable shift where I feel more present in my own life. I have just felt a lot more energy, and I feel like I got my motivation back. So I've been going on runs again, making big improvements in my skill work, dialing in my yoga flows, dialing in my routine. And I finally have my living room and my outdoor space set up at home. We've been renovating, if you don't know, for a year and a half, and I haven't had a living room, and I've also been really, really, really wanting a private space outside that I can do yoga and just not be in my neighbor's like back window. Well, we finally have our living room and outdoor space set up, and it actually makes me want to exist in my house, which these things may sound like really small, but they have made drastic improvements in my life already just this past week, since my home is a very important part of my life and my emotions. You can thank my Leo moon in my fourth house for that. I also had a little solo date over the weekend, and it felt amazing. I went to the river, tried a new coffee shop. If you're from my area, if you have not tried Manna tea in Cape Girardeau, seriously, I I'm dreaming about that creme brulee latte. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. I need to go back there like tomorrow. I'm actually going to be in Cape tomorrow, so I'm going there. Hold me to that, my Snapchat fam. Well, you guys won't listen to this till Friday. Tomorrow, I'm going. End of story. Okay. I also had some really great conversation with strangers. Like, the people at the coffee shop were so sweet, and that day just kind of felt like life was being lived, like I was like, I don't know, I was just like, this is so life right now. Like, I feel like I haven't been living in a long time. It was a beautiful day. I can't even describe it. And that's really how the past like week and a half ish has been for me. I been noticing that I'm not trying to just get through my day, or optimize every second of my day. I'm just like actually living and enjoying my life. And not optimizing everything has been a really big topic for me lately. I've been thinking a lot about how I don't always prioritize myself in my decision making. Like, I say that I want to feel free and be more grounded and build a life that feels aligned, but when it comes down to it, I really have to be honest. Like, am I always making choices based on those desires of mine? That's where this week's astrology feels very connected, because this week is definitely not just about feeling good. I feel like all of that Venus, especially all of that Venus energy that we just went through, Jupiter had its influence, Cancer did as well. There's many reasons for it, but I think Venus played a big part in this. A lot of us felt a little bit of a relief recently from life. We may have had some moments like I just talked about where I'm like, oh my gosh, life is lifing. Like, I'm actually living my life. I don't know the last time I felt this way. I think we were meant to see that so we could see that that is possible, and to recognize what things we were doing during those moments that were creating those feelings. This week is going to be a week of realizing what actually supports the version of you that feels good. So starting Friday, June 26th, we do have the intensity starting off the week with Moon in Scorpio. And yes, this can be intense. It's all of the things we keep private to ourselves, so it can feel emotionally revealing. It tends to bring up things that we hide underneath the surface, the things that we're processing, what we're trying to understand about ourselves, the things in our head that we don't say out loud. All of those things, Scorpio themes, they're getting brought up. So Friday may feel like a day where emotions are really deep, and this is not necessarily in a bad way, but just noticing where something holds more truth, because Scorpios are all about honesty. And with the sun in Cancer, the emotional body is already louder. Cancer season brings us back to home, safety, belonging, needs, family, memory, and the biggest one, the nervous system. The Scorpio moon adds depth to that. So if you feel more sensitive or just reflective at the beginning of the week, as in the beginning of this week I'm referring to, which would be Friday 26th, that makes total sense. Then Saturday, June 27th, the moon moves into Sagittarius, and that is an energy shift. Sagittarius moon usually gives us more space. It's like after being in the dark, deep depths of Scorpio, Sagittarius comes in and says, okay, what does this all mean? What am I learning? What's the bigger picture here? This is a good day to get outside, move your body, do something that helps you zoom out. I would definitely avoid sitting still long enough to overthink things on Saturday. I love that this is happening on a Saturday. A lot of us won't be at work. Sitting at a desk job would not be enjoyable for this day. We want to be outside. We want to be connecting with nature, doing creative things, whatever it is, just move. I'd let yourself have a little perspective. This is also the day that Mars enters Gemini. So there may already be this feeling of mental restlessness starting to build, like you're really ready for something to move or change or be said. I know we all have something collectively in our lives, something in our lives that we are impatient, ready to change. We want something to be done there. And some of that theme, those anxious feelings, that impatientness may really come back starting on Saturday. So that's why I say don't sit down. Saturday's not the day to lay on the couch all day, especially. Get up, move around. Sagittarius and Gemini, fire and air signs, okay? They don't want to sit. This is not water energy. We are not deep in emotional processing. That was the couple days prior. Saturday, we need to be up, moving, experiencing, not sitting. Then Sunday, June 28th, Mars enters Gemini. And this is a very big shift. Mars has been in Taurus, which is slow, physical, steady. Taurus loves consistency in the body. Mars in Taurus is productive, right? It's Mars, but it's not fast. It wants things to be sustainable and tangible. Mars in Gemini is completely different. It's faster, more mental, more curious, more scattered, more communication. Sorry, I don't know why I forgot how to say communication. This can be a great day for writing, speaking, content, learning, or just like having conversations, trying new things, moving in different ways. Overall, just like not sitting. Again, Gemini, air sign, this weekend is not the weekend to bum it out. This can definitely make the mind feel like there are 47 tabs open. We just left Gemini season. So we're kind of familiar with this energy. The Gemini energy is still familiar to us. There was something in our life that we were feeling very ambitious about, restless about. That theme's kind of coming back, especially with Mars entering Gemini, the planet of action. So as Mars moves into Gemini, notice where your energy starts going. Are you actually inspired, or are you just mentally overstimulated? Are you following curiosity, or are you avoiding stillness? That's an important distinction this week because Mercury is about to station retrograde. And when Mercury stations, the mind can feel a little bit weird. Things can feel slower, foggier, more emotional, more repetitive. Then Monday, June 29th, this is the big day. This is the strawberry full moon in Capricorn, and Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer today as well. So, first of all, the strawberry moon is the June full moon. It's connected to strawberry harvest season when things are ripening and ready to be gathered. And I love this symbolism for this specific full moon because it's happening in Capricorn. And Capricorn is very much about what has been built, what has matured, what's actually sustainable, what's producing results. Capricorn is an earth sign. So this is not a full moon that's just asking, like, okay, how do you feel now? This full moon is like, what is life showing you? And because the sun is in Cancer and the moon is in Capricorn, we're working that Cancer Capricorn axis, the mother and the father. So, Cancer, the mother, is the inner world. It's emotional safety, your home, needs, your private life, your softness. Capricorn, the father, is the outer structure. It's the responsibility, maturity, discipline, long term choices, what you're building in the real world. So, this full moon may bring up tension between what you need emotionally and what you're responsible for practically. And I think this can be really clarifying because sometimes we think honoring our emotions means letting them run the whole show. And sometimes we think being responsible means ignoring how we feel. This full moon is not asking us to do either of those things. We are being asked to ask ourselves, how can I take my emotional needs seriously enough to build a life that actually supports them? That's the Capricorn part. It's not just, I feel this way. It's okay, so what needs to change in the structure, in the routine of your life to support that? And because this is the strawberry full moon, there's also this question of ripening. What is ripening in your life right now? Where are you starting to see results? Where have you planted seeds and you're starting to see some buds? Where are you realizing, oh, when I actually prioritize this, I feel different. When I move my body, I feel different. When I make my home feel good, I feel different. When I stop waiting for someone else to make my life feel special, I feel different. That's the great side of this full moon. It can really show us what's working, but it can also show us what isn't working. And with Mercury stationing retrograde in Cancer on this same day, some old emotional patterns may come back up for review. Mercury retrograde in Cancer can bring up family and home stuff, old memories and conversations, old ways of protecting yourself, old emotional reactions. And Mercury is going to be in retrograde until July 23rd. So if something comes up around this full moon, I wouldn't immediately assume that it's a sign to react. I would treat it like information because this may just be something getting reintroduced. And you need to ask yourself, is this happening again because I'm meant to repeat it? Or is it happening again because I'm finally ready to respond to it differently? Then on Tuesday, June 30th, Jupiter enters Leo. Eek! I'm so excited for this one. Jupiter has been in Cancer, which has been expanding themes around home, emotion, care, softness, family, belonging, what makes us feel safe. Wherever Cancer is in your houses, will give you more information on that specifically in your chart. But when Jupiter moves into Leo, the energy gets louder, brighter, more expressive, more creative, more confident. Leo is visibility, art, romance, play, self expression, and letting yourself be seen. Lion, hear me roar. That's Leo. And personally, I love this because Leo is such a huge part of my chart. I have a Leo moon and my North Node is in Leo. So whenever Leo energy especially gets expanded by Jupiter, it's very tied to my purpose. But I also think the timing is really important because Jupiter enters Leo right after this Capricorn full moon. So it's not going to be just like, go be seen. It's make sure the version of you being seen is grounded, is rooted. That can feel like the whole message. You can want visibility. You can want more. You can want to express yourself and create and be known and take up space. But if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, if your daily life doesn't support you, if you're still outsourcing your sense of worth, visibility can feel overwhelming instead of exciting. It's like being on stage is a lot more exciting if you know your lines, right? So Jupiter in Leo is opening a new chapter around expression. But the Capricorn full moon is reminding us that expression needs a container. Confidence needs support. That can be internal support. Creativity needs space. Being seen feels better when you're not abandoning yourself to get there, right? Whenever you achieve a goal, wouldn't it be nice to not have to say, yeah, I sacrificed my mental, physical, and emotional health for this as well as my financial well-being, but I did it. Wouldn't it be nice to be like, yeah, it was peaceful. I achieved my goal and I stayed mentally, financially, physically, emotionally stable through all of it. That's possible. Wednesday, July 1st, the moon moves from Capricorn into Aquarius. And this gives us a little bit of distance after the intensity of the Scorpio moon and the full moon. Capricorn is very personal in the sense that it asks, what are you doing with your life? It's the dad. It's like coming in. It's what are you doing? What do you have on paper? Like, what degrees do you have? What do you have to show for yourself? What money's in your bank? Do you own your home? What kind of car do you have? It can be very abrasive. Aquarius pulls us up and out a little bit. It helps us look at patterns, systems, the future, the bigger vision, not just the nitty-gritty details of Capricorn. Aquarius doesn't ignore any of that, but just steps away from it and is able to see it from a wider lens. So this could be a day where you start thinking about what needs to be done differently, not necessarily from an emotional place. Aquarius is very logical, but more from an observational place. Like, okay, I see the pattern in my behavior. I see where I need more structure. I see where I'm ready to express myself differently. But again, since Mercury is in retrograde, I wouldn't force final answers. Let the insights come to you, write them down, let them breathe. Then Thursday, July 2nd, the moon is still in Aquarius, and this keeps the energy future focused and a little more detached. We're in the era of good brainstorming energy, connecting ideas, looking at your life from a wide lens. But with Mercury retrograde in Cancer, there may still be emotional stuff underneath the surface. So that's not to say with this Aquarius moon, there's going to be no emotions, because we do have Cancer coming into play. It's like two sides of the coin that we're dealing with on Thursday. So some of us may feel really emotional. Some of us may feel really detached, and some of us may be feeling both at the same time, depending on our chart. It may feel like part of you is trying to be logical and future focused, while another part of you is processing a lot emotionally. Don't make it a problem though. That's just the energy. We're doing two themes, two different stories are coming up and being reassessed at the same time. The goal is not to force yourself into clarity before your body has caught up. The goal is just to notice both of them. What does my mind understand, and what does my body need? We're being shown both things can exist at the same time. Then Friday, July 3rd, which is the observed 4th of July, so hopefully you all are off work. We are still in that Aquarius moon. Mars is now in Gemini. Jupiter is in Leo. Mercury is retrograde in Cancer. And the week has definitely shifted from where it started. We began in Scorpio depth, moved through Sagittarius perspective, had this Capricorn full moon reality check, and now we're ending with more air energy, more thought, more ideas, more future, more communication. So by the end of the week, you may feel like you have more perspective, but not necessarily a complete answer. And that is okay. Mercury retrograde is not really typically the time where everything becomes perfectly clear and linear. It's more like the time where you realize what needs to be revisited before you move forward. So the overall message of this week is not figure your whole life out. It's notice what is ripening, notice what's repeating, and notice what kind of structure your next level actually needs. Because we're leveling up, babes. There's no choice. You're listening to this podcast, so you already know. And I know a lot of us want expansion. I know I do. I know if you're listening to it, you probably do too. But we don't always think about the support expansion requires. We want the opportunity, the visibility, the love, the money, the confidence, the alignment. But then when it starts to come in, we realize we need stronger routines, clearer boundaries, better regulation, more honest conversations, more capacity to hold good things without panicking or self-sabotaging. That's what this week is showing us. The strawberry full moon, that's so cute, says, look at what's ready. Mercury retrograde is saying, review what still needs care. Jupiter in Leo says, don't hide from the part of you that wants to be seen. Mars in Gemini is saying, start exploring new ways to move, speak, learn, and express. So, for journal prompts this week, I would ask yourself these following things if you would like to write them down. What is ripening in my life right now? Where am I seeing the results of prioritizing myself? What emotional pattern is coming back up for review? What structure would help me feel safer expanding? Where am I ready to be seen, but still trying to protect myself? And what would it look like to support the version of me that feels more alive? And then for the tools this week, I would just keep it simple. Move your body when your thoughts start getting too loud. Write things down instead of immediately reacting. Clean or reset one space in your home, especially with all this Cancer Capricorn energy. Be mindful of emotional conversations around the Mercury station. Let the full moon show you what's working and what isn't. And choose one structure that supports your growth instead of trying to overhaul your life. And if you would like to go deeper into your own chart, your current season, or how this astrology is showing up for you personally, you can check out my astrology readings and all of my offers at madelinehope.com. You can also reach out to my email, which will be linked in the show notes. I will have a ton more information to tell you if I have your chart based on these transits. These transit readings I've been doing have been so much fun for me because I'm seeing how these transits are showing up in your guys' real life, because astrology is a weather forecast, right? Like the weatherman says it's gonna rain, but they only know so much. And like, yes, it did rain in Perryville, but it only rained like 5% over here in Perryville, and it was sunny when it was raining, and it was sideways, and like we can't always tell the texture and the exact location and exactly what it looks like. It's just like a weather forecast. That's astrology. So whenever I get to put the weather forecast with the actual play-by of how it happened, it's so fun. I've been loving the feedback I've been getting from the resonance that I've been getting. It's just been really fun. So if you're interested in that, I would truly love to do that with you. Just call me up. For this week, let yourself pay attention. Pay attention to what feels good in a way that actually supports you. Pay attention to what feels familiar but not necessarily aligned. Pay attention to where your life is quietly showing you this is working, and where it's showing you this needs work. This needs care specifically. You don't have to rush the next chapter, but you do have to be honest about what is ripening. Come back to yourself first, and as always, stay grounded.